When the drama begins, we are introduced to the female lead, Cheon Se-rang. She comes to the King Hotel for an interview. When her turn comes, her heel breaks as she is entering the room, but she still goes in confidently. The director is impressed by seeing her walk like this. After the interview, Cheon Se-rang sits with her friends and tells them everything that happened today. She also says, "I know they won't keep me for the job anyway. I just went to see how the hotel looks from the inside." The three friends then go to a club and drink a lot. The next morning, all three are sleeping drunk. Cheon Se-rang gets a call from the hotel and finds out that she passed the interview. She is very shocked and tells her friends, who start dancing with joy. Next, we see the male lead, Woo-won, making a grand entry in his private jet. He then goes to his own office as an employee in disguise so he can observe everything. No one recognizes him, and everyone treats him badly. But when he introduces himself as the chairman's son, everyone is shocked and starts welcoming him warmly. In the next scene, Gu-won is sitting with his dad and stepsister, Gu-hwa-ran. He says, "I don't want to stay here. I want to go back to the UK." His dad gets angry at him, so he leaves the room. Gu-hwa-ran comes to him and says, "You have no share in this house or company. Just leave for the UK soon. I'm even ready to provide financial support." Gu-won replies, "I don't need your help," and walks away. The next morning, Cheon Se-rang reaches the hotel. The manager, Kim Sumi, explains some rules to her and takes her to Jeon Min-seo, who tells Cheon Se-rang about her work. Jeon Min-seo says, "You need to clean the sweat off every gym machine." Cheon Se-rang feels bad, but smiles and does the work. Later, Jeon Min-seo asks her, "Why are you smiling so much?" Cheon Se-rang says, "The manager told me to do every task with a smile." Jeon Min-seo then says, "You won't last more than a month here. I've been waiting for a promotion for 5 years, and you just got here." Cheon Se-rang ignores her words. Meanwhile, No Sung-sik comes to Gu-won, and Gu-won asks him to get a passport ready, as they need to go to the UK. At the hotel, manager Kim Sumi mistakes No Sang-sik for the chairman's son. In the gym, a man looks at Cheon Se-rang inappropriately and tells Jeon Min-seo to give her a letter. Jeon Min-seo gives Cheon Se-rang the letter, which contains vulgar comments. Cheon Se-rang gets very angry. When she steps outside, she sees Gu-won exercising in a simple shirt. She assumes he is the same man and scolds him angrily before leaving. Gu-won is confused and yells back at her. Gu-hwa-ran then comes and says to Gu-won, "This is my hotel. You cannot speak loudly to the staff here." She then starts inspecting the gym and asks Cheon Se-rang a question, which Cheon Se-rang answers immediately. Impressed, Gu-hwa-ran transfers her to the VIP lounge. Everyone is shocked, and manager Kim Sumi feels very jealous. Time passes, and a scene is shown 3 years later. Cheon Se-rang receives a promotion. Gu-won completes his graduation, and Cheon Se-rang gets a boyfriend named Gong Yu-nam. Cheon Se-rang's friend, Kong Da-ul, also gets married. Gu-won receives a letter containing information about his mother. He calls No Sung-sik and tells him, "We are returning to Korea." Back in Korea, he has dinner with his dad and stepsister, Gu-hwa-ran, and tells his dad, "I won't leave now. I will stay here, work in the hotel, and manage it." He then leaves with No Sang-sik. Meanwhile, Cheon Se-rang is drinking with her friends, who tease her by mentioning her boyfriend's name, Gong Yu-nam. Gu-won arrives at the hotel, but suddenly remembers he left his phone in his room. "Oh no, my documents are still there," Gu-won says. He goes to get his phone while Cheon Se-rang is in the bathroom. She finds a remote, and when she presses its buttons, the display alternates between blurry and clear. Just as Cheon Se-rang is doing this, Gu-won walks in. Both of them freeze, shocked to see each other. Gu-won quickly leaves, and Cheon Se-rang locks the door from inside. Gu-won says, "I need to get a few things, including my phone. Open the door." Cheon Se-rang hesitantly opens the door. Gu-won stares at her and says, "I've seen you before, haven't I?" Cheon Se-rang replies, "No, I don't know you." Embarrassed, she tries to leave quickly, but Gu-won follows her. "Wait, I haven't finished what I was saying. Where are you going?" Cheon Se-rang asks, "Why are you following me?" Gu-won counters, "Why are you running away like this?" He studies her closely and exclaims, "Oh, I remember you now. You're the girl from the gym." Cheon Se-rang retorts, "What nonsense are you talking about?" Then, as realization dawns on her, she says, "Oh wait, now I remember. You're the guy in that tiger t-shirt. You're the thug." Gu-won exclaims. How dare you call me a thug? And what about you? How do you explain being in my room and casually using the bathroom like that? Cheon Sarang defensively says, I didn't do it on purpose. Gu-won insists, fine, then apologize to me for that day and for today. Cheon Sarang replies, look, I'll apologize for today, but I'll never apologize for that day. Their argument starts again. Afterward, Gu-won visits his sister, Gu Hwaran, who is reviewing his documents. Gu Hwaran says, these documents aren't enough. You'll need to bring the family registry documents. Gu-won protests, come on, we're family. Why do you need all this paperwork? Gu Hwaran responds, rules are rules. If you want to proceed, you have to provide the documents. Outside, No Sang-sik is waiting for Gu-won. Manager Kim Soo-mi arrives, mistaking No Sang-sik for the chairman's son. She informs them about the inauguration ceremony she'll be hosting later. No Sang-sik suggests, how about we go out for dinner tonight? Manager Kim excitedly responds, yes, absolutely. I'd love to. Later, Gu-won returns from his sister's office. No Sang-sik informs him about the inauguration ceremony. In the next scene, the ceremony begins. Manager Kim invites Gu-won on stage. As Gu-won enters with No Sang-sik, Cheon Sarang sees him and is shocked. Her mouth drops open as she realizes that Gu-won is going to be their boss. Manager Kim is equally stunned, as she had assumed No Sang-sik was Mr. Gu-won. During his speech, Gu-won said, I'll be working here from now on. I hope you all will like my work. After the ceremony, Manager Kim tells Cheon Sarang to welcome Mr. Gu-won with a bouquet. Cheon Sarang nervously approaches the stage, hiding her face behind the bouquet. Gu-won moves the bouquet aside to see her face and smiles. Well, we meet again, he says cheerfully. Cheon Sarang forces a smile and welcomes him. In the next scene, Gu-won is in his cabin with No Sang-sik and Cheon Sarang. No Sang-sik says, a promo shoot is going to happen for both of you, and I'll send the script. Gu-won stops her and says, you told me you'd never show me your face again. Cheon Sarang replies, I'll try my best to avoid you then. Gu-won talks to Cheon Sarang again about the incident and asks, why did you behave with me like that in the gym that day? Why did you call me a thug? Cheon Sarang answers, if I don't call you a thug, then what should I call you? The way you sent that dirty letter with those disgusting things written in it and said you wanted to spend a night with me. Hearing this, Gu-won gets angry and says, what nonsense are you talking about? I never do such things. And anyway, you're not even my type. Are you sure you saw my face that day? Cheon Sarang says, no, I didn't see your face. But yes, I saw your tiger print t-shirt that you were wearing. Hearing this, Gu-won becomes even angrier and shouts, what nonsense are you talking about? So many thugs and hooligans roam around wearing tiger print t-shirts. Will you think it's me every time? Hearing this, Cheon Sarang feels extremely guilty and says, please forgive me, sir. I misunderstood you a lot. Then, we see Cheon Sarang's friend Oh Pyung-hwa on a flight. She is an air hostess and is trying to lift a heavy bag for a passenger. At that moment, Lee Ro-woon enters. Lee Ro-woon says to Oh Pyung-hwa, you shouldn't lift this bag. It's too heavy. You might get hurt. Then, Lee Ro-woon lifts the bag and sets it aside. In the next scene, No Sang-sik and manager Kim Soo-mi are at dinner. No Sang-sik says, order whatever you want to eat. Kim Soo-mi replies, you fooled me. At that moment, Cheon Sarang arrives, and No Sang-sik says to her, you have to go somewhere with me. When Cheon Sarang reaches the place, it is a large hall where the chairman is throwing a party to celebrate his son joining the office. The chairman sees Cheon Sarang and asks, who is this? Someone introduces her, and the chairman asks her to give a speech for Gu-won as a gift. Cheon Sarang is given a box of tuna. Cheon Sarang takes the tuna box, boards a bus, and calls her grandmother, Cha Soon-hee, to tell her about it. Cha Soon-hee is busy and cannot come. Then, Cheon Sarang calls her boyfriend, Gong Yoo-nam, who is in Busan. When Gong Yoo-nam says he will stay in Busan for a few days, Cheon Sarang is shocked and says, we were supposed to meet tomorrow. Gong Yoo-nam replies, I'm sorry, I forgot. Let's meet next week. Then, the bus breaks suddenly, and the tuna box slips from Cheon Sarang's hands. The box opens, and the tuna spills out, looking like a fish head. Everyone gets scared, but Cheon Sarang says, this is not a fish head, it's tuna, and closes the box. Cheon Sarang reaches home, where Oh Pyonghwa is already present. Both of them look at the tuna. Upon seeing the tuna, Cha Soon-hee becomes happy and says, "I know how to cook this." Cheon Sarang tells them the price of the tuna is 700 million. Cha Soon-hee is shocked and says, "Sell it and buy a house." Cheon Sarang replies, "Who's gonna sell it? Just eat it." In the next scene, Cheon Sarang is sitting in her room, opening a book that contains a drawing. Her past is shown as a little girl. Cheon Sarang is drawing a hotel, while her mom looks at her drawing and says, "Why are you drawing a hotel?" Cheon Sarang replies, "I want to work in a hotel someday." In the next scene, we see Kang arriving at her duty-free shop. Her colleagues congratulate her with a bouquet because she has been promoted. Meanwhile, at King Hotel, Cheon Sarang is arguing with an elderly lady who turns out to be a famous actress. The actress says, "I want my room upgraded for free." Cheon Sarang responds, "I can't do that because it's against our hotel policy." The actress insists, "Then let me speak to the manager." Cheon Sarang continues to refuse. At that moment, Gu Won enters and sees Cheon Sarang arguing with the actress. He walks over and asks, "What's going on here?" Cheon Sarang explains, she's a famous actress and she wants her room upgraded for free in exchange for publicity for the hotel. Gu Won replies, "Call security and have this woman escorted out of the hotel." The actress threatens, "If you do this, I'll tell my followers how terrible the service here is." Unbothered, Gu Won tells Cheon Sarang, "Come with me." He then takes her to his office, where they argue. As Cheon Sarang begins to leave, Gu Won stops her and says, "Never ask me about my favorite color, favorite food, or favorite weather. I absolutely hate such questions." Cheon Sarang, confused, replies, "Why would I ask that?" Gu Won retorts, "Then what would you ask?" Cheon Sarang answers, "Why would I ask anything at all?" Gu Won says, "Then what will you ask during the interview?" Perplexed, Cheon Sarang says, "What interview?" Realizing Cheon Sarang knows nothing about it, Gu Won is momentarily stunned. No Sang-sik then arrives and informs Cheon Sarang, "On Gu Won's request, we'll be going to Kaiju Island for a few days." At first, Cheon Sarang refuses, but she eventually agrees. Later, Cheon Sarang goes to a romantic spot with her boyfriend, Gong Yu-nam, where love locks are hung. Gong Yu-nam writes a wish on their lock and throws the key away. Cheon Sarang, surprised, asks, "Why did you throw the key?" Gong Yu-nam replies, "It's a symbol of our love." However, Gong Yu-nam soon receives a call from his friends and drags Cheon Sarang along to meet them. Feeling left out as Gong Yu-nam becomes engrossed with his friends, Cheon Sarang sits alone, upset. Meanwhile, Gu Won is researching information about his mother, but finds nothing. At the same time, Cheon Sarang is feeling down. Both of them stand near the same place, close to each other, yet unaware of each other's presence. The next day, at the airport, Gu Won and No Sang-sik wait for Cheon Sarang. When Cheon Sarang arrives, she's dressed casually, yet beautifully. Gu Won is mesmerized by her beauty and stares at her as she approaches. The three of them set off for Kaiju Island. Upon arrival, they see a luxurious car waiting at the airport. Cheon Sarang excitedly exclaims, "Are we going in this?" Gu Won replies, "I'll take this car, you two can take a taxi." When they reach the location for the interview, Cheon Sarang gets ready, but she has been handed the wrong script. This happens under the influence of Gu Hwaran, who is against Cheon Sarang. During the shoot, Gu Won makes an entry, and everyone is captivated by his dashing appearance. Even Cheon Sarang can't take her eyes off him. The interview starts, and Cheon Sarang begins asking questions about his mom. Gu Won gets angry and leaves the room. His dad and everyone else are watching the interview. Gu Hwaran is happy, but then Gu Won returns. He says to Cheon Sarang, "Can you give me that list?" When he takes the list, he finds that it contains questions all related to his mom, like, "What's your mom's favorite food that she makes? Which favorite spot did you visit with your mom? What's your most memorable day with her?" Seeing this, he gets extremely angry and throws the list into the air. He says to Cheon Sarang, "If you want to ask something meaningful. What's with these childish questions?" Cheon Sarang feels very embarrassed and doesn't know what to do. Behind them is a beautiful view. Looking at it, she says to Gu Won, "Do you like watching sunsets?" Gu Won replies, "Yes, I love them. Let's watch together." Then they watch the sunset together, and the director is happy watching this scene being filmed. Later, it becomes night. Cheon Sarang goes to Guwon, angrily confronting him. "What's your problem? What do you want from me? What mistake did I make?" Guwon responds, "What do you think?" Cheon Sarang says, "Look, your work might be a joke to you, but mine isn't. Because of you, I could have lost my job today." Guwon replies, "Why are you forcing yourself to work here? There are so many hotels. Why don't you work somewhere else?" Cheon Sarang retorts, "Not everyone has a father like yours, where you get everything without working hard." They glare at each other in anger. At that moment, No Sung-sik happily approaches them with news, saying, "Thanks to both of you, the sunset spot has become very popular. Everyone is praising you too." The next scene shows Guwon sitting on his room balcony, holding a watch and looking at it closely. A flashback reveals his past when he was a young boy, and his mom gifted him that watch. In the following scene, we see the head airline attendant gathering everyone to check their weight. When she checks Oh Pyung-hwa's weight, it's slightly over. The head tells her, "Your weight has increased by 3 kilos. You need to go on a diet." She adds, "Maybe this is why you didn't get a promotion." Later, Lee Ro-woon tells Oh Pyung-hwa, "You don't need to diet. You're already very beautiful." Oh Pyung-hwa thanks him and gives him a scarf meant for his mom. In the next scene, Cheon Sarang and Guwon arrive at the location for their new photo shoot. The photographer tells them, "Today's concept is smile, smile." He calls Guwon the king of smiles and Cheon Sarang the queen of smiles. They pose as a couple, but Guwon isn't smiling properly. The photographer, frustrated, says, "Sir, at least try to smile." Guwon stops the shoot again and says, "That's enough," before walking away. Cheon Sarang is very angry, but manages to hold herself together for the sake of the shoot. Cheon Sarang says to him, "Couldn't you smile even once?" Guwon replies, "I absolutely hate fake smiles. If you like it, then you do it." Cheon Sarang says, "You think you're perfect, but you don't even know how to smile." The photo shoot begins again. The photographer asks them to smile again. Guwon decides to smile, but when he does, it's so strange and scary that everyone either laughs or gets startled. The photographer, irritated, stops the shoot and says, "That's enough for now." The photographer's assistant says, "Boss, don't worry. These slightly weird smiling photos, I can edit them to make them perfect." In the next scene, No Sung-sik takes Cheon Sarang and Guwon to the sea and tells them, "Your last shoot will happen on a boat." Both Cheon Sarang and Guwon are shocked. Both of them go to the boat for the photo shoot. The photographer says, "Hold the fish and shake it." Guwon picks up the fish and shakes it gently. The photographer says, "Shake it harder." Annoyed, Guwon throws the fish into the water. The photographer, shocked, says, "You both are not being serious." Night falls, and the weather begins to worsen. The boat driver says, "I can't go any further. You'll have to spend the night at a hotel in a nearby village." Cheon Sarang and Guwon head out to find a hotel. It's dark, and Guwon is scared, but refuses to admit it. Cheon Sarang laughs and says, "Are you scared?" Guwon replies, "Scared of what? I'm never scared." Cheon Sarang laughs and says, "Were you scared?" Guwon responds, "No, I just have a slight fear of birds." When they reach the hotel, Guwon sees an old lady who looks like a ghost. Guwon is shocked and faints. In the next scene, Guwon opens his eyes and finds himself in a strange place. An old lady is sharpening a knife, and an old man is sharpening an axe. Guwon tries to run away in fear, but can't find a door. He jumps out of a window and lands in front of Cheon Sarang. Cheon Sarang asks, "What happened to you?" The old lady comes in and says, "What kind of man are you? Your wife brought you here alone." Cheon Sarang explains that the old lady is the owner of the hotel. Later, both of them sit down for dinner. The old man asks Guwon, "Would you like a drink?" Guwon says, "Yes." Cheon Sarang interjects, "Don't give it to him. He can't handle it." Guwon retorts, "Why not? I can definitely drink." Then, both of them start drinking, and a competition begins. They also compete with the old man, who serves them drinks. As soon as they take the first sip of the drink, it turns out to be extremely strong. Both of their eyes remain wide open, but in an attempt to compete with each other, they end up drinking more. Then, both of them get drunk. At that moment, Cheon Sarang is smiling. Guwon, seeing her smile, says, "Look, I have told you so many times not to smile in front of me. I don't like your smile." Cheon Sarang replies, "If you don't like my smile, why do you keep looking at me?" Guwon says, Whenever you're near me, I can't concentrate on my work. Don't come near me from now on. The next morning, Cheon Sarang is taking off her socks in her room, but suddenly she falls and lands on top of Gu-won, who is sleeping in front of her. Gu-won says, "What are you doing on top of me? Get up." Cheon Sarang, embarrassed, gets up and says, "What are you doing here?" Gu-won replies, "I'm in my own room." Just then, a board appears in front of them, which says that if you are a couple, you will get one room, but if there are two people, the room will be divided into two parts. In the next scene, Gu-won tells her, "You should go on a bike ride with me." Cheon Sarang initially refuses, but later agrees. They ride together, enjoying the moment and getting closer to each other. On the way back, an old lady asks them for a lot of money. Cheon Sarang realizes they are being scammed and exposes the old lady. Gu-won wanted to make an online payment, but the lady only accepted cash. Back at the house, Gu-won is looking at a photo of Cheon Sarang smiling on his laptop. Just then, his friend No Sung-sik enters his cabin. Gu-won is lost in Cheon Sarang's smile. No Sang-sik shows him their photo shoot, which Gu-won doesn't like, so he starts feeling irritated. After No Sang-sik leaves, Gu-won plays a game and realizes that he has a crush on Cheon Sarang. Gu-won goes to meet Cheon Sarang with some cookies, and as he steps out, he calls her. At that moment, he sees her hugging another guy. When he sees her hugging another guy, his heart breaks, and without saying anything, he leaves. Cheon Sarang calls him and says, "I need to talk to you. Come with me." He replies, "Whatever you want to say it here." Cheon Sarang then asks, "What's wrong?" Gong Yu-nam tells her that his friends are waiting for him at the club for a party, so he needs to go there. Cheon Sarang is surprised and says, "So, you didn't come here to apologize? Do you still care more about your friends? Do I have no importance in your life?" She then says, "I want to break up with you. Let's break up." Hearing this, Gong Yu-nam is shocked and says, "What are you saying? Do you know how long I've been waiting here for you? How can you be so selfish?" Just then, Gong Yu-nam's phone rings, and he answers it. Seeing this, Cheon Sarang gets angry and walks away. Gong Yu-nam tries to follow her, but can't stop her. In the next scene, we see Gu-won sitting in his car, upset, thinking, "What's happening to me? Am I feeling jealous? I can't believe this about myself." In anger, he throws the box of cookies he brought for Cheon Sarang out of the car window. Just then, the police arrive and ask him for his license, also telling him to pick up the box. After the officer's request, he picks up the box. The officer jokingly says, "Did you bring this box for your girlfriend?" Gu-won replies, "No, nothing like that." Meanwhile, we see Cheon Sarang talking to manager Kim Soo-mi in her department. Manager Kim, feeling jealous, says harshly, "You don't need to be so happy. You don't know what kind of place King the Land is. You'll be kicked out from there." Cheon Sarang feels hurt. Just then, another manager arrives from King the Land to pick Cheon Sarang up. The new manager is guiding the staff and treats Cheon Sarang nicely. She hands Cheon Sarang a uniform. Cheon Sarang puts on the uniform and looks very pretty. Then, they take her to the VIP lounge and explain, "Working here is everyone's dream." Cheon Sarang promises to do her best. On the other hand, Gu-won is stressed, thinking about Cheon Sarang's boyfriend. His assistant, No Sang-sik, says, "How long will you stay like this? You should confess your feelings to Cheon Sarang." Gu-won angrily tells him to leave. Later, the manager introduces Cheon Sarang to Gu-won. Cheon Sarang is in her VIP uniform, and Gu-won is captivated by her beauty. He says, "You need to learn good manners. Manager, pay special attention to her." Cheon Sarang, feeling slightly annoyed, politely replies, "Thank you, sir. I'll do my best." The manager then introduces Cheon Sarang to the staff. Some members are happy, while others feel jealous. In the background, some people whisper, "I don't understand how people without a degree get in here." Cheon Sarang is asked to sign a confidentiality contract, which states that VIP customer details cannot be leaked, and photos are strictly prohibited in the lounge. Meanwhile, Gu Hwa-ran visits different departments of King the Land and orders them to increase sales. She fires a kitchen chef just because of a small stain. On the other hand, Gu-won is thinking about confessing his feelings to Cheon Sarang. He messages her, but she neither replies nor answers his calls. The next day, Gu-won confronts her. "Why didn't you take my call?" Cheon Sarang responds, "How did you even get my number?" Gu-won replies, "I got it from the documents." Cheon Sarang says, but I don't have your number, so I didn't know it was you. At that moment, Gu-won hands her his card and says, "Here, take my number and save it." Cheon Sa-rang asks, "What do you need from me?" Gu-won says, "Let's talk over dinner." Cheon Sa-rang replies, "Why do you want to take me to dinner?" Gu-won says, "Last time, you treated me to juice. I just want to return the favor." Cheon Sa-rang says, "It's fine, there's no need for that." Gu-won insists, "What's the problem then?" Cheon Sa-rang replies, "You didn't ask me properly to go to dinner." Gu-won then formally asks, "Will you have dinner with me tonight?" Cheon Sa-rang immediately declines. Gu-won asks again, "Will you have dinner with me tonight?" Cheon Sa-rang declines again. Frustrated, Gu-won asks, "Why do you keep refusing me?" Cheon Sa-rang says, "I don't want to go with you because I'll feel very awkward having dinner with you." Angry, Gu-won walks away. In the next scene, we see Gu-won sitting in his cabin. No Sang-sik is showing him the photos from the Kaiju Island photo shoot and asks him to select one, but Gu-won isn't paying any attention. No Sang-sik, feeling frustrated, says, "Why don't you just select a photo? You've been flipping through slides for so long." Gu-won tells No Sang-sik, "I've made a decision." No Sang-sik asks, "What have you decided?" Gu-won replies, "I want you to go to Cheon Sa-rang and tell her to come to dinner with me tonight." No Sang-sik asks, "Which restaurant is it at?" Gu-won responds, "It's at a Japanese restaurant." Gu-won agrees. In the next scene, Oh Pyung-hwa is seen making coffee for her staff members. A pilot arrives and starts flirting with her, casting inappropriate looks. Just then, Lee Ro-woon enters, and the pilot quickly leaves. Lee Ro-woon asks Oh Pyung-hwa, "Would you like a drink?" Initially, she refuses but later agrees. They both go out for dinner, where Oh Pyung-hwa shares, "I won't be able to stay here much longer because I won't get promoted, and they'll eventually fire me." Lee Ro-woon replies, "But I like you," confessing his feelings directly. Oh Pyung-hwa is left shocked. In the next scene, Gu-won arrives with No Sang-sik for the welcome dinner, excited to dine with Cheon Sa-rang. However, as he steps inside, he notices the entire staff sitting there and asks No Sang-sik, "What is this?" A nervous No Sang-sik responds, "What happened?" Gu-won exclaims, "I told you to bring only Cheon Sa-rang for dinner." No Sang-sik explains, "I thought you invited all the staff members." Annoyed, Gu-won says, "I'm not going to this dinner." But No Sang-sik insists, "You have to go inside." Gu-won sits, watching Cheon Sa-rang, who isn't eating properly. He calls another chef and asks them to prepare food for her. Everyone notices his special treatment. After the meal, Cheon Sa-rang confronts Gu-won, asking, "Why did you do all this?" Gu-won replies, "I did it for you." Upset, Cheon Sa-rang leaves. Upon reaching home, her friends wish her a happy birthday, and the three of them have a great time celebrating. The next day, No Sang-sik informs Gu-won that he's invited to Cheon Sa-rang's birthday party. This is when Gu-won realizes it's her birthday. He returns to his cabin, where Gu-hwa-ran is already present, and they start arguing again. At the party, Cheon Sa-rang's boyfriend comes to wish her, but she tells him, "We don't have a relationship anymore," and leaves. It begins to rain, and Gu-won arrives, covering her with an umbrella. He says, "This is my place." As Cheon Sa-rang tries to leave, she slips, but Gu-won catches her, preventing her from falling. What do you think this moment means for their relationship? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. They find themselves very close to each other. In the next scene, Cheon Sa-rang is sitting in Gu-won's car as he drives her home. Cheon Sa-rang is sad, and Gu-won asks her, "Where is your umbrella?" Cheon Sa-rang replies, "It flew away in the wind." Cheon Sa-rang becomes silent. Then, Cheon Sa-rang falls asleep in the car. Gu-won looks at her and takes out a blanket, covering her with it. After some time, they reach their destination. Gu-won gives Cheon Sa-rang a gift and says, "These are clothes for you, put them on." Cheon Sa-rang, surprised, asks, "Why did you give these to me?" Gu-won says, "Today is your birthday, let's go eat." In the next scene, Cheon Sa-rang goes to the restroom to change clothes and comes back to see Gu-won also wearing matching clothes. Then they sit down for dinner, and a staff member takes their photo and says, "You both look so cute." Cheon Sa-rang says, "See, I told you people would misunderstand." Gu-won says, "This is the first time I've bought clothes for someone. You don't care about my effort." Cheon Sa-rang smiles and says, "Thank you." Gu-won replies, "I don't need your fake thank you. Cheon Sarang says, "No, it's from the heart." After that, he orders a lot of food for dinner, and Cheon Sarang is shocked. Gu-won says, "I didn't know what you liked, so I ordered everything." Cheon Sarang says, "This will all go to waste." Gu-won tells her, "I need to know what you like, so I can only do what you enjoy." Hearing this, Cheon Sarang is surprised. After dinner, when they go to pay the bill, Cheon Sarang gives her card. When she finds out the bill is very high, she is shocked and embarrassed. She gives her card for payment, but Gu-won returns her card, gives his, and pays the bill. In the next scene, we see that Gu-won takes Cheon Sarang to drop her off at her house. Gu-won takes out a box from his car and gives it to Cheon Sarang, saying, "This is a cake for your birthday. End your birthday on a sweet note." Gu-won says, "I specially had this cake made for you by the head chef of King's Hotel." Cheon Sarang takes the cake and happily goes home. Suddenly, her ex-boyfriend, Yoonam, shows up and says, "I knew something was wrong. That's why you broke up with me." Cheon Sarang says to him, "What are you doing here?" Gu-won intervenes and asks Yoonam, "Who are you?" Yoonam says, "I'm her boyfriend." Cheon Sarang immediately says, "What did you say? You're my boyfriend? You're my ex." Then Yoonam asks about Gu-won. "Who is he?" Cheon Sarang says, "That has nothing to do with you." Cheon Sarang angrily responds, "Listen to me. Don't try to meet or talk to me again, or I'll kill you." She walks away. When Yoonam tries to follow her, Gu-won grabs his hand and stops him. Yoonam asks, "What are you doing?" Gu-won says, "If she doesn't want to talk to you, why are you chasing her?" Yoonam replies, "That has nothing to do with you. Stay out of it." Out of fear, Yoonam runs away. Then Cheon Sarang reaches home, opens the cake box, and gets happy seeing the cake. Gu-won is still sitting in his car and sends Cheon Sarang a message. Cheon Sarang sees the message and smiles. As she's thinking of replying, Gu-won calls her and says, "I sent you a message. Why haven't you replied yet? It's my duty as an employee to help, so I'll always help you." Then he wishes Cheon Sarang a happy birthday. In the next scene, Oh Pyung-hwa is sitting with her colleagues. Their senior brings a cake and sarcastically says, "Wow, our department came in last place again with the least sales." She scolds everyone and says, "Do something, even if it means carrying passengers' luggage or requesting them to buy something from us." Then, Oh Pyung-hwa and her senior discuss a plan to increase sales. After that, Oh Pyung-hwa comes home and sees that Da-ul and Cheon Sarang are watching a horror movie. Oh Pyung-hwa notices Gu-won's clothes. She picks them up and takes them to Cheon Sarang. Oh Pyung-hwa asks about the clothes. "Who gave these clothes?" Da-ul jokingly says, "If a guy gave them, it means he likes you." Cheon Sarang, thinking of Gu-won, says, "No, it's nothing like that." Da-ul laughs and says, "He gave you a gift, so it's your duty to give a return gift." Cheon Sarang gets scared, runs to her room, and locks herself inside. After that, she looks at the clothes Gu-won gave her and smiles. In the next scene, we see King Hotel, where a meeting is taking place. Hwaran and Gu-won are also attending the meeting, where they are discussing Super Farmer Week. Gu-won asks, "What is this?" People explain, "During Super Farmer Week, our hotel employees go to different places and request farmers to provide us with their products." Gu-won refuses this and says, "My hotel employees will not go to Super Farmer Week." After saying this, he leaves. In the next scene, Gu-won is sitting in his cabin looking at a photo of Cheon Sarang. He is smiling at the photo when suddenly Sang-sik enters. Upon seeing Sang-sik, Gu-won gets nervous and quickly hides the photo under a file. Sang-sik says, "What have you done? How could you refuse Super Farmer Week?" Gu-won replies, "I can't send my employees there." Sang-sik says, "You need to understand this. Otherwise, how will you become the CEO?" At that moment, Sang-sik picks up the file where Gu-won had hidden the photo. When his gaze falls on the photo, he is shocked, and Gu-won realizes that Sang-sik has seen it. Then, Sang-sik runs off with the photo, and Gu-won chases him, saying, "Give me that photo back." Sang-sik smiles and returns the photo. Then, Cheon Sarang sends a message to Gu-won. "Can we meet after work?" Initially happy upon reading the message, writes, "I'm very busy, I don't have time." Cheon Sarang writes, "No problem, okay then." Gu-won writes again, "I have a little time, I can meet you." Gu-won waits for a reply, but there is no response. Gu-won gets angry and goes to Cheon Sarang. He says, "I messaged you, why didn't you reply?" Cheon Sarang replies, Sorry, my phone was inside, and it's not allowed here, so I couldn't reply. Gu-won asks, what do you want from me? Cheon Sarang says, can we meet after work? Gu-won replies, my time is very precious, but I'll make time for you. Then they both go to a simple restaurant for dinner, where Gu-won says, this is the first time I'm waiting. Cheon Sarang says, let's go back. But Gu-won replies, no, I want to experience this. Their number is called, and they sit at the table and enjoy the food. The next day, Hwairan tells Gu-won, send the employees to Super Farmer Week. It will benefit them. Gu-won agrees, and the manager announces the news, making everyone feel sad. They start pulling out their slips. Cheon Sarang needs to go to Jinglin Mountain, and she reaches there. When Gu-won finds out, he gets very worried and calls Cheon Sarang, telling her to come back, but she refuses. Suddenly, the weather worsens, and Cheon Sarang slips, falling down. It gets quite late, and as she gets up, a light shines on her, which turns out to be a helicopter with Gu-won. Behind that accident, Gu-won comes to Hwaran and says, I need a helicopter, so I need your permission for that. Hwaran says, can't you see I'm also busy in a meeting? Gu-won replies, look, this is an emergency. One of my employees is in danger. Hwaran says, I already know about this. Gu-won says, then why don't you give permission? Hwaran says, look, if you want my permission, you'll have to follow the entire procedure. Then, Gu-won bows in front of everyone and says, one of my employees is stuck in the middle of the mountains. Their life is in danger, so I need a helicopter from the company. Hwaran says, we'll talk after the meeting. Gu-won says, look, I don't have any time at all. It will be too late. And he requests Hwaran repeatedly. Hwaran says, do you know how expensive it is to use a helicopter? And if you were so concerned, you shouldn't have sent your employee there in the first place. Then, she refuses permission for the helicopter. Gu-won gets very angry and says, for all of you, money is more important than someone's life, and leaves angrily. Then, he calls someone and says, I need a helicopter. Yes, I know Miss Hwaran hasn't given permission, but my name is Gu-won, and I'll take full responsibility. At that moment, No Sung-sik says to him, what are you doing? Have you gone mad? After that, the helicopter arrives. When Gu-won is about to get on the helicopter, No Sung-sik grabs him and stops him, saying, have you gone mad? Can't you see how bad the weather is? Gu-won says, I have to go. No Sung-sik says, you're so madly in love that you don't even care about your own life. And have you thought about what would happen to me if something happened to you? I got this job because of you. Gu-won doesn't listen to him. Then, No Sung-sik says, look, if you want to go, you'll have to step over my dead body. Gu-won says, fine, lie down. Gu-won reaches Cheon Sarang, who is scared and hugs him due to the bad weather. The helicopter leaves, and now they have to spend the night there. Gu-won is scared, but doesn't show it, and says to Cheon Sarang, I'll always protect you. Don't be afraid. At that moment, an old man arrives and helps them get out. Later, the three of them are eating together. The old man says, why did you come here? Cheon Sarang replies, I came to meet you. But the old man gets angry and says, you shouldn't have come. The next morning, Cheon Sarang says to the old man, you should work with our hotel. He says, no, I'm already working with a hotel. Cheon Sarang gives him a plant that she found on the mountain. The old man says, don't give this to me. This is a very special plant, and only lucky people find it. Cheon Sarang explains, I don't have parents, so I'll give it to my grandmother. Then, they prepare to leave, and No Sung-sik arrives. The three of them get in a car and stop at a hotel for a meal. There, No Sung-sik has an upset stomach and tells the two to go ahead. Cheon Sarang goes with Gu-won to her grandmother's place and starts helping her. Gu-won watches her secretly from the window. The grandmother scolds him and, as punishment, tells him to cut onions. When Cheon Sarang finds out, she tells her grandmother, you shouldn't have done that. Then, she takes Gu-won with her and they go outside, enjoying themselves a lot. Gu-won also likes it. The next day, it's Gu-won's friend's birthday. He hugs her to wish her well, and Cheon Sarang feels jealous. When she gets home, she sits with her friend and drinks. She is dancing when Gu-won sees them, and they both turn to look at him. They suddenly get shocked and scared, screaming as they throw a pillow at his face. In the next scene, the four of them are sitting together. Yul and Pyonghwa say to Sarang, Sarang, you should have told us earlier. Here, Gu-won says, please forgive me. I came without informing you. To this, Da-ul and Pyonghwa reply, it's okay, we are just like family. Then, both of them introduce themselves. We work in different departments of King Hotel. Do you also work with Sarang in her department? While Sarang is about to explain about Guwon, Guwon interrupts and says, yes, you are right. I work with Sarang. Then Daul and Pyeonghwa say, it must be very tough for you because that jerk also works there. Sarang is surprised and says, what nonsense are you talking about? Guwon is also looking at Sarang, and Daul and Pyeonghwa begin revealing Sarang's secrets in front of Guwon. They start saying, that person has troubled Sarang a lot and even made her cry a lot. Sarang says, no, that was earlier, but now he has changed a lot. To this, Daul and Pyeonghwa say, what are you talking about? You said he was a very useless person and always kept a grumpy face. After this, Da-yul and Pyeonghwa ask Guwon about a parcel he brought, saying, what is this? Is it a gift? Guwon says, no, it's not a gift. I brought medicine for Sarang. Sarang, surprised, says, medicine? Why would I need it? Guwon says, I noticed at the party that you didn't see well, so I brought medicine for you. Then Guwon asks them, can I talk to Sarang alone for a while? They both leave the place, and Sarang brings coffee for Guwon. As they drink coffee, Guwon says to Sarang, do you really think of me like this? That I always have a grumpy face and that I trouble you? Sae-rang laughs and says, no, they were just joking. Don't take their words seriously. Then she asks Guwon, why have you come here? Guwon says, I thought you weren't feeling well, so I was really worried about you. That's why I came to see you. Sae-rang says, today is your girlfriend's birthday, so you shouldn't have left her alone like this. Guwon looks at Sarang and then says, she's not my girlfriend. Sarang gets angry and yells, then why did you hug her? If she's not your girlfriend, you shouldn't have hugged her. Do you think everyone is so free that you can hug anyone like that? Seeing Sarang's reaction, Guwon laughs and asks her, are you feeling jealous? Sae-rang says, jealous? Why would I feel jealous? Guwon says, don't lie. It's clear from your eyes that you're feeling jealous. Sarang says, there's nothing like that. Guwon then says, all right. I promise you that from now on, I won't hug anyone else. Sae-rang laughs and says, when did I ever say that? Guwon asks, are you sure you didn't say that? Sarang falls silent and lowers her gaze. Guwon places his hand on her face, lifts her gaze, and says, I promise you that I won't do such a thing again. Both of them keep looking at each other and smiling. At that moment, Daul and Pyeonghwa are silently watching them and saying, they are dating each other. Guwon and Sarang overhear this, look at them, and both run away. After this, Sarang and Guwon are walking outside together. Guwon says to Sarang, shall we go on a date? Sarang is surprised and says, what? Now? It's already too late. Guwon says, let's go in the morning. Sarang says, but we both have work in the morning, don't we? Guwon says, all right, let me know when you have time. Then, as they are walking and talking, a scooter almost collides with Sae-rang, but Guwon pulls her toward himself. Sae-rang, scared, looks at Guwon and says, it's very late now. You should go. Guwon says, we should take one more round. Sarang says, no, you should go now. Guwon replies, I'll leave when the right time comes. Then, Pyeonghwa and Ro-woon enter. Ro-woon says, if you need my help, you can tell me. Pyeonghwa says, all right. The next day, Hwaran gives Sarang a script in which it is written that Hwaran saved her. Sarang, seeing this, is shocked, but can't do anything. The conference begins. When Guwon hears about the conference, he also goes there, wondering what Sarang will say. Sarang says the same thing that Hwaran had written, and, in the end, also mentions Guwon's name, saying, he rescued me from there. Guwon is happy and leaves the place. Later, Hwaran and Guwon are approached by the chairman, who is pleased with Hwaran for saving an employee's life and bringing recognition to the hotel. Then, the chairman informs them, Prince Samir is coming, so you can invite him here. Guwon agrees and says, I'll invite him. On the other hand, Sarang returns to work, but her colleagues hate her and say, because of you, all our work has increased. Sarang quietly listens to everything and continues with her work. Then Guwon comes and smiles when he sees Sarang. Guwon says to her, if you want to say thank you, let's go for a coffee. Sarang replies, sorry, I'm very busy today. Guwon says, it's okay, I'll help you. Guwon starts spreading a cloth on the table, but Sae-rang notices that he doesn't know how to do it properly and grabs his hand to show him how to do it. Guwon takes advantage of the situation, looking for ways to get closer to Sarang. Both of them set the table and glance at each other quietly. After finishing the task, They move to their respective sides. In the next scene, the chairman talks to his friend and says, "I have big news for you. Prince Samir is coming to our hotel." He praises his son for doing such a great job. Sae-rang also listens to their conversation. The chairman then tells Sa-rang, "You will welcome Prince Samir." In the following scene, the chairman is sitting with Gu-won and Hwa-ran at home. He praises Gu-won for inviting Prince Samir. Hwa-ran asks, "How did you manage this?" Gu-won responds, "I just knew it was possible." A flashback shows Gu-won calling Prince Samir and telling him, "We will give you special treatment if you come to our hotel." Prince Samir talks about sending a contract. Later, Gu-won and San-sik are in the office, looking at the contract, which states that Gu-won must always smile and follow Prince Samir's every order. Gu-won signs the contract and starts training with San-sik. San-sik jokes, but Gu-won gets angry. In the next scene, everyone stands to welcome Prince Samir. However, instead of Prince Samir, Gu-won steps out of the car first. Then Prince Samir follows and tells Gu-won, "Smile." Hwa-ran welcomes Prince Samir, and Sa-rang gives him a bracelet. Prince Samir is happy and asks Sa-rang to put the bracelet on him. As Sa-rang is about to do so, Gu-won steps in and puts the bracelet on instead. Gu-won also arrives, and Prince Samir invites Sa-rang to visit a historical temple. They both go together, with Gu-won accompanying them. At the temple, Prince Samir sees a traditional wedding event and excitedly says, "I want to do the same." The wedding begins, and the bride is brought in on a palanquin. Sa-rang is shocked when she sees the groom. It is Gu-won, not Prince Samir. A flashback is shown. Prince Samir asks Gu-won, "How do I look now?" Gu-won picks out a dress for him and says, "You should wear this white dress." But Prince Samir doesn't like it. Gu-won says, "You don't know, on festival days, respected people wear this dress. If you don't want to wear it, I'll wear it myself." Prince Samir then says, No, I'll wear it." In the next scene, Gu-won and Cheon Sa-rang are getting married in a traditional ceremony outside the temple. Prince Samir, who is sweeping, sees that Gu-won and Cheon Sa-rang are getting married. He enters the temple and says to Gu-won, "How dare you marry Sa-rang? You made a fool of me. You deceived me." Gu-won replies, "You should just stick to sweeping. That's your job." Prince Samir, angry, starts chasing Gu-won, and a fight begins. In the next scene, Cheon Sa-rang and Gu-won are sitting together. After a while, Prince Samir arrives, angry, and starts arguing with Gu-won. He says, "Did you try to mock my love?" Gu-won replies, "Your love? My foot. How can you love anyone? I don't think so. Someone with 100 girlfriends and multiple marriages?" Prince Samir says, "Marriage and love aren't sins." Gu-won replies, "Oh, is that so?" And then they begin arguing. Sae-rang gets angry and shouts at them, "Stop. If you both keep fighting, I will leave." Prince Samir says, No, don't go anywhere. We're not fighting. We're just talking." Gu-won adds, "Yes, we're not fighting. We're just giving each other warnings." At that moment, Gu-won says to Prince Samir, "I just want you to maintain a distance of 100 meters from Sa-rang." He then tells his men, "Take Gu-won and get him out of here." His men come and pick Gu-won up, taking him away. In the next scene, Sa-rang and Prince Samir are walking inside a temple. Prince Samir says to Sa-rang, "It must be quite difficult for you to wait for guests and stay with them all the time, right?" Sa-rang replies, "Yes, you're right. My job is difficult, always standing in front of guests, smiling." Prince Samir says to Sa-rang, "I have many hotels. You can take whichever one you like." Sa-rang says, No, I don't need any of that. Yes, I agree that my job is very difficult, but still, I love my job." Prince Samir is quite impressed and says, "You're really great. Truly, I never thought I would meet someone like you." He happily says, "I want to throw a party, and I want you to come to this party." In the next scene, Prince Samir is going to his room, smiling at Sa-rang and saying, "We'll meet tomorrow at the party." Then he goes to his room. Sa-rang and Gu-won also head toward their rooms. Gu-won says to Sa-rang, "You didn't smile much at him." Sa-rang replies, "It's part of my job." Gu-won looks at Sa-rang, who is drinking coffee, and says to her, "You're handling a VIP guest, so you're also one of our VIP employees. You deserve to stay in a VIP room tonight." Then, in the next scene, Gu-won and Sa-rang go out to eat noodles. They chat and enjoy their time together. On the other hand, Kang Da-il brings her daughter home. The daughter says, "Da-il, I want to play with you. Let's play." She replies, "I'm very tired today." Then she says to her husband, Seo Chung-jae, "Let's go out for dinner." The husband replies, "I'm bored of eating out. Why don't you make something at home?" Da-Yul sadly starts cooking while her husband relaxes. In the next scene, Se-Rang is in her room. When someone knocks on the door, she opens it and sees Gu-won. Gu-won asks, "Did you have breakfast?" Sa-Rang replies, "My shift is at 3, so I'm still sleeping." Gu-won says, "Okay, sleep well then." In the next scene, Sa-Rang is at Prince Samir's party, where he makes Gu-won a waiter. Sa-Rang is shocked as she looks at Gu-won. Prince Samir proposes to her and gives her a ring. At first, Sa-Rang praises the ring, but then says, "I can't accept your proposal." Prince Samir is impressed and says, "Next time, I'll bring a more expensive ring." Se-Rang smiles and says, "I will always remember your service." On the other side, Gu-won overhears this and feels relieved. The girls were at the sauna while promoting products for sale. Gu-won having meeting with Hwa-run, which as always ended in a conflict. They both met after a tiring day, and having dinner after that, they shared a romantic moment. Pyonghwa's sales are higher this time, so she is celebrating with her friend. Meanwhile, one of her juniors, Hana, is sitting beside her, praising Pyonghwa a lot, saying, "Please don't forget us after the promotion." Pyonghwa says, Okay, stop talking too much." Just then, their senior arrives. The senior says, "Everyone, listen to me. I have an important announcement. Someone here is getting promoted." Everyone is very happy for Pyonghwa, and Pyonghwa is also very happy. But when the senior calls out the name instead of Pyonghwa's, she announces Hana's name. The others are shocked. Pyonghwa's heart breaks. Ro-won, who is looking at her, thinks about how sad Pyonghwa is. Then, Pyonghwa and Hana have a conversation. Hana says to Pyonghwa, "You're my senior, and I'm your junior, yet I got promoted before you." Pyonghwa replies angrily, "You don't need to feel bad for me. I'm genuinely happy for you." Hana says, "Don't try to be nice. I know you're feeling jealous." Pyonghwa gets even angrier and says, "I think you're drunk. You've had too much to drink." Hana says, "If you're feeling jealous, why don't you just say it? And anyway, you should work harder so you can get promoted." Hana adds, "I got promoted today, but for some reason, I'm feeling weird because of you." Pyonghwa, after hearing all this, gets even angrier and leaves. Ro-woon also follows her. Pyonghwa sits alone outside, and Ro-woon reaches there as well. He drapes his coat over Pyonghwa's and says, "It's very cold. You'll feel cold." Then he sits beside her and asks, "Are you okay?" Pyonghwa replies, "No, I'm not okay. I feel very ashamed of myself. I had a lot of expectations from myself, but I couldn't live up to them. I failed." Ro-won tells her, "No, you've done really well. You're the best. Do you know I also want to become a good flight attendant just like you?" Ro-won says, "Let's go for a walk," and, holding her hand, takes her along with him. The next day, Gu-won goes to his office, and Cheon Sa-Rang arrives as well. All three get into the elevator. Gu-won tries to hold Sa-Rang's hand, but Sang-sik keeps looking back repeatedly. Gu-won sends Sang-sik out of the elevator, holds Sa-Rang's hand, and places it inside his coat. Sa-Rang feels happy, but after reaching the lobby, Gu-won comes very close to Sa-Rang, but then sends her inside. Sa-Rang feels extremely happy that he has become her boyfriend. Later, Gu-won sits in front of Sa-Rang during work hours, making all the employees uncomfortable. Sa-Rang asks Gu-won to leave, but when he refuses, she gets upset, and he eventually leaves. Afterward, Gu-won sits with Hwa-run and the chairman asks about the preparations for the 100th anniversary. Gu-won replies that they are going well, but Hwa-run says, "I don't see anything happening." At that moment, Sa-Rang serves tea to everyone, and Gu-won becomes upset with her. After the meeting, Sa-Rang tries to cheer him up and hugs him from behind, surprising Gu-won. Sa-Rang gets hurt when Gu-won gets angry and leaves. Gu-won later gets upset with himself for speaking to Sa-Rang like that. Meanwhile, Hwa-run is with her assistant. The assistant tells her, "You shouldn't take Mr. Gu-won so lightly. One day, he'll take everything from you without you even realizing it." Hwa-run asks, "What do you mean? What are you trying to say?" The assistant replies, "Mr. Gu-won will use himself as a weapon against you someday." Hwa-run responds, "Look, don't you trust me? What's mine will always remain mine. No one can take it from me, not even Gu-won. Invite all my guests to the event." The assistant asks, "Are you trying to help Gu-won?" Hwa-run replies, "Help? Why wouldn't I help him? Yes, he's handling the event, but all the guests will come because of my invitation. Just watch what happens." In the next scene, Gu-won takes a beautiful flower bouquet to Sa-Rang's grandmother's restaurant. The grandmother is changing a light bulb and almost falls, but Gu-won catches her and takes her to the hospital. The grandmother angrily says, "I'm perfectly fine. Why did you bring me here? Do you have so much money that you're ready to waste it?" Gu-won replies, "Grandma, you have knee problems and you need to get them treated." The grandmother insists, "There's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfectly fine." Gu-won insists that the doctors have said some tests are still pending. The grandmother says, "I need to take care of my restaurant." Gu-won replies, "I'll take care of your restaurant. Don't worry." The grandmother becomes emotional and agrees. In the next scene, Sa-rang learns about her grandmother's condition and immediately goes to her. Se-rang says, "You need to take care of your health. What will happen to me if something happens to you?" The grandmother reassures her, "I will always be with you and never leave you alone." Then, Sa-rang and Gu-won decide to fix the lights in the grandmother's restaurant. When Gu-won touches the main switch, a short circuit happens and the lights go out. They both look for a flashlight and come close to each other. Sa-rang says, "You should go home." Gu-won replies, "Do you really want me to leave you and go?" Gu-won then expresses his feelings and tells Sa-rang, "I love you. Are you ready to accept my feelings?" Sa-rang becomes emotional and agrees. They kiss. The next morning, Gu-won kisses Sa-rang on the forehead, but the grandmother sees them and scolds Gu-won. In the next scene, the grandmother takes Gu-won to the market and interviews him with her friends. The grandmother says, "If you want to be with Sa-rang, you'll have to prove to be the best husband for her." Later, they all have dinner at home, after which Gu-won and Sa-rang go for a walk. Da-yeol and Pyonghwa join them, and the four of them sit down and have drinks together. Da-yeol mentions that her manager had promised them a trip but didn't take them. Pyonghwa shares her story about her promotion, which makes Gu-won feel bad. He plans a trip for Sa-rang and her friends, making everyone happy. During the trip, Gu-won takes care of Sa-rang, and their bond grows stronger. On the plane, Gu-won gives up his business class seat to No Sang-sik and sits with Cheon Sa-rang instead, holding each other's hands. They feel very happy. In the next scene, the group arrives in Thailand, where No Sang-sik has booked a beautiful place for everyone. They're all delighted by the beauty of the place and take pictures excitedly by the poolside. No Sang-sik shows them their rooms and leads Gu-won to one of them. Gu-won is surprised to see the room decorated romantically, like a couple's room. Gu-won asks, "Why did you book 2 rooms?" No Sang-sik explains, "One room is for the girls, and the other is for us." Gu-won asks, "Where will you sleep?" No Sang-sik says, "I'll sleep with you." Gu-won laughs and says, "What did you just say? That you'll sleep with me? How could you even think of that?" No Sang-sik replies, "What's the problem? This bed is so comfy. We can sleep comfortably." Gu-won sternly tells No Sang-sik to quietly arrange for separate accommodations for everyone. When No Sang-sik refuses, saying the payment has already been made, Gu-won gets angry and insists No Sang-sik books separate rooms for everyone. No Sang-sik tries to avoid him, but Gu-won grabs him angrily and reminds him, "I am the head manager Gu-won, your boss." Later, Gu-won and No Sang-sik return to the poolside, where No Sang-sik informs everyone, "There's a problem with the place. We'll have to relocate." The 3 of them ask No Sang-sik, "What problem has arisen? We were having so much fun here." Meanwhile, Gu-won, seeing Cheon Sa-rang and her happiness, decides they will not leave and tells No Sang-sik, "We will all sleep in the same room." No Sang-sik is surprised at this. Then Gu-won pushes No Sang-sik into the pool, and Kang Da-ul, coming from behind, pushes Gu-won into the pool as well. All 5 of them enjoy throwing water at each other. In the next scene, after having fun by the poolside, all 5 of them are sitting together. Gu-won messages Cheon Sa-rang, "We need to separate from the group because I want to go out alone with you." Cheon Sa-rang agrees. Meanwhile, No Sang-sik brings matching t-shirts for everyone to wear. Gu-won says, "I won't wear the t-shirt," but the other 3, happy seeing the t-shirt, say, "We are ready to wear them." In the end, Gu-won also has to wear a t-shirt. Afterward, all 5 of them, wearing the same colored t-shirts, reach a noodle restaurant. No Sang-sik brought them to this noodle restaurant, where the other 4 initially refused to eat noodles. So, No Sang-sik starts praising the noodles and says, "These noodles are very tasty. You should try them at least once." Hearing this praise, they order noodles, except for Gu-won. When the noodles arrive, the group enjoys eating them. Watching them, Gu-won also starts craving noodles. At that moment, Cheon Sarang begins feeding Gu-won noodles with her own hands. The other three stare at Gu-won and Cheon Sarang. Feeling awkward, Cheon Sarang quickly puts the bite down, but Gu-won quickly eats it. They tease Cheon Sarang, asking, "Did you feed him?" Cheon Sarang denies it, saying, "Did I feed you?" Gu-won admits, "Yes, you did, but I wasn't paying attention." Then, Gu-won grabs No Sang-sik's bowl and starts eating his noodles, forcing No Sang-sik to order another bowl for himself. Next, we see everyone enjoying street food. Cheon Sarang notices an ice cream stand and says, "Let's get ice cream." So she and Gu-won go to get ice cream. After enjoying street food, they watch a live student concert on the road. Cheon Sarang and Gu-won stand behind No Sang-sik, giving Gu-won the chance to hold Cheon Sarang's hand. They hold hands, feeling happy while watching the concert. Later, Gu-hwaran, in her cabin, is visited by Kim Sumi, who says, "3 best employees have been sent on a trip." Gu-hwaran, surprised, replies, "I had no idea about this." Kim Sumi explains, Gu-won, the head manager of King the Land, took them on this trip. Gu-hwaran tells her assistant, "There are things I still don't know." The assistant assures her, "I will be more careful in the future." In the next scene, Cheon Sarang and Gu-won are in their rooms. Gu-won messages Cheon Sarang, "Can we meet outside alone?" Cheon Sarang agrees. Both try to leave their rooms secretly. No Sang-sik blocks Gu-won by stepping on his foot, and on the other side, Kang Da-ul and Oh Pyung-hwa place their hands on Cheon Sarang. However, both somehow manage to sneak out and bump into each other. Cheon Sarang nearly falls, but Gu-won catches her in his arms. They smile, looking at each other, feeling happy. Later, they sit by the pool. Gu-won asks, "Why hadn't you slept yet?" Sarang says, "I was waiting for you." Gu-won admits, "I was waiting too." Gu-won then says, "When we return to Korea, I will confront No Sang-sik properly." Cheon Sarang asks, "Why?" Gu-won angrily replies, "No Sang-sik made a big mistake by trying to come between us, preventing us from spending time alone." Cheon Sarang tells Gu-won, "I have never been on a trip with my friends or grandmother before, nor did I ever think I could travel in my life." Gu-won assures her, "From now on, you will have many opportunities to travel with me." Cheon Sarang confesses, "I feel very happy whenever I'm with you." Gu-won promises, "I will fill your every day with happiness." The two feel elated, and Gu-won slowly pulls Cheon Sarang closer in the pool, saying, "I missed you a lot today." Cheon Sarang replies, "We were together the whole day." Gu-won says, "But we didn't get a chance to spend time alone." They look at each other and start kissing, creating a romantic moment. The next morning, they visit many places and have a great time. They meet Lee Ro-woon, and No Sang-sik asks him, "Stay with us for the night," which angers Gu-won. The next morning, when Lee Ro-woon is leaving, he finds that Oh Pyung-hwa has left breakfast and a note for him, making him very happy. Meanwhile, Cheon Sarang and Gu-won sneak away early in the morning to spend time alone. While talking, Gu-won tells Cheon Sarang, "My mother left me. After she left, my stepsister Gu-hwaran and others only gave me fake smiles whenever I asked about her, which is why I dislike fake smiles." Feeling sad, Cheon Sarang gives him a back hug and says, "Thank you for coming into my life." The two share a kiss. Feeling content the next morning, everyone is sad about leaving. Gu-won announces there is still one surprise left. When asked what it is, he says it's a secret. Later, it's revealed that Gu-won booked business class tickets for everyone, making them very happy. Cheon Sarang tells Gu-won, "Our journey from start to finish was amazing, and it's all because of you. Thank you for everything." Gu-won replies, "You don't need to thank me. Rather, I should thank you for allowing me to enjoy so much." They hold hands, smile at each other, and feel very happy. Finally, everyone returns to South Korea. Cheon Sarang is sitting with her staff members, and their senior announces, "The 100th anniversary is coming, so I want to instruct you on how to serve VIP guests." Then, Sarang, who has brought some gifts from Thailand, gives them to her senior. Some colleagues remark, "She only brought gifts for the senior and not for us." However, Sarang has brought gifts for all her colleagues. When everyone receives their gifts, they feel very happy and thank Sarang. Sarang says, "We are all one team," and hearing this makes everyone even happier. In the next scene, we see Gu-won sitting in King the Land, working. Sarang comes to him and calls his name 3 times, but Gu-won does not pay attention. Then, Sarang shouts his name loudly near his ear, which startles Gu-won, and he apologizes. "I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention." Sarang says, "I called you so many times, but your mind was elsewhere." Gu-won apologizes. "I'm sorry, my mind was on work." Sarang asks, "Why are you working here? Why aren't you working in your cabin?" Gu-won responds, "Why can't I work here? Are you the boss of this place?" Sarang says, "Because of you, I am unable to work here, so you need to go back to your cabin." Gu-won says, "I am also working here because of you. Since I've been very busy these days and haven't been able to meet you, I thought I should work here so I could see you while working. Am I the only one feeling this way?" Sarang laughs and says, "I feel the same way." Then, Gu-won suggests, "Why don't we go home together after work?" Sarang replies, "Sorry, we can't. What if someone sees us?" Gu-won says, "Why are you scared? Are we committing a crime? Loving someone isn't a sin." Sarang replies, "It's not like that, but I don't want people gossiping about us." Just then, No Sang-sik arrives, and Gu-won leaves with him. No Sang-sik shows Gu-won the VIP list and says for many years, VIP guests have been invited through this list. Gu-won says, "There is no need for any change. The list I have prepared is perfect." Then, Gu-won goes to Gu Hwa-ran's cabin. Hwa-ran says, "You need to invite the VIP guests from the list I have made." Gu-won looks at the list and refuses. "I am handling the event, and I will decide everything." Hwa-ran asks, "Do you think this 100th anniversary is a joke for you?" Gu-won replies, "The list you've made only has politicians. Do you think you'll build the hotel's future with these politicians?" Hwa-ran asks, "Then who do you think you will build the future with?" Gu-won replies, "With the employees who have been working for the hotel for many years." Hwa-ran says, "Do you think you're a hero? I've heard you took some employees on a trip." Gu-won doesn't say anything and leaves. Then, at the anniversary, he tastes the dishes prepared for the event and praises the chef a lot. In the next scene, he calls the doorman and asks, "Yesterday, you were talking to a lady outside. Who was she?" The doorman replies, "She used to come with her husband, but now her husband has passed away, so she comes alone. I wait there to ensure she doesn't feel lonely." Hearing this, Gu-won feels good. On his way back from the office, Sarang waits for Gu-won. When Gu-won arrives, he hugs her from behind. Sarang thinks it's someone else and hits him, but upon seeing it's Gu-won, she apologizes. Gu-won says an apology isn't enough, so Sarang kisses him. Gu-won still doesn't agree, so she kisses him again. Gu-won still doesn't agree, and then she kisses him on the lips. At that moment, Sarang notices some staff members watching and hides her face. They sit in the bus to hide, but the entire staff of King the Land is there. They become embarrassed and make an excuse to get off. Then they go to have coffee, and Sarang asks, "Did you ask the doorman about your mom?" Gu-won replies, "No, I don't want to meet her. She left me on her own." The next morning, Sarang goes to the doorman herself and asks, "Do you know anything about Gu-won's mom?" The doorman gives her the address of a lady and says, "Go and ask her." Sarang goes there but doesn't get any information, so she returns. Gu-won visits his grandmother. His grandmother doesn't recognize him and says, "Who are you? Are you a thief?" Then she hits him with a frying pan. When Gu-won stands up, she says, "Oh, it's you. I thought it was someone else." Gu-won gives his grandmother many gifts and also gives gifts for her friend, which makes her very happy. Gu-won goes home and asks his dad, "Do you have any dreams for this hotel?" His dad replies, "No. I just want to see the employees and the people who visit here happy." The function starts, and Gu-won gives a speech. Gu-won calls the son of an old employee and says, "Please come up and give a speech." Then he calls the doorman and says, "Please share a few words." Hwa-ran's guests get angry and say, "Why weren't we invited to speak?" Then Hwa-ran's guests leave angrily, but Sarang says, "I'm really happy with your effort." The chairman goes home and thinks about his wife, who once said, "We will build a hotel where everyone who visits will be happy." At that moment, Hwa-ran comes and complains, "Gu-won didn't do the right thing today." But the chairman says, "That's enough. I don't want to hear it." Meanwhile, Sarang tells Gu-won, "Come over to my place on Sunday." Gu-won agrees. "Okay, I'll come." Sarang prepares dishes that Gu-won likes. When Gu-won sees everything, he says. You did all this for me? I'm so surprised. They eat, drink, and then Gu Wan says, I want to kiss you. Just then, Oh Pyonghwa and Kang Da-ul arrive. Their friends asked, what's going on here? They sit Gu Wan and Cheon Sarang down and ask, since when has this been going on? Gu Wan replies, we've been dating for a while now, and also reveals, I am the chairman's son. Everyone exclaims, what? Gu Wan steps outside, where No Sung-sik says, why didn't you tell me you were dating Sarang? Meanwhile, Oh Pyonghwa and Kang Da-ul ask Sarang, does Gu Wan take care of you? The next day, everyone praises Gu Wan, saying, you managed the 100th anniversary event so well. But Gu Hua-ran says, we shouldn't be happy because working with politicians is what will benefit us. Gu Wan disagrees. That's not true. Employees and guests are more important. The two start arguing. The chairman intervenes and says, both of you prepare a presentation with your respective points of view. Whoever has the better idea will become the next president of this hotel. Both say, okay, we'll do that. The next day, Mr. Park comes to meet Hua-ran, but when Sarang serves him food, he scolds her. What kind of service is this? Hua-ran says, you're fired. At that moment, Gu Wan arrives and says, you can't fire her. She did nothing wrong. Mr. Park leaves angrily. This makes Hua-ran suspicious, and she wonders, why does Gu Wan always take Sarang's side? Is something going on between them? After work, Gu Wan and Sarang go home together. On the way, Gu Wan's clothes get wet, so he says, I'll come to your house to change. There, Sarang tells him, go ahead and change your clothes. But Gu Wan takes off his shirt and moves closer to Sarang, saying, let's not waste this moment, and starts kissing her. Meanwhile, Hua-ran asks No Sang-sik, will you work for me? Sang-sik replies, no, I won't. Elsewhere, the manager tells Sarang, you are being included in the dream team, and takes her to a car where she has to wear a maid-like dress. When she brings food, she sees that it is Gu Wan's house. Now, she has to work here as a maid. Present there are Yuri, her father, Gu Wan, and his father. They talk about Yuri and Gu Wan's wedding, which shocks both Gu Wan and Sarang, and Sarang drops the plate. She quickly apologizes and starts picking it up, but Gu Wan grabs her hand and says, this could be dangerous for you. You go and I'll handle it. Cheon Sarang responds, no, sir, it was my mistake, so I will fix it. Then Gu Wan lightly scolds her. I told you to go, I'll clean it up. Sarang's colleague also arrives and says, Sarang, you go, I'll take care of it. Sarang leaves, and Gu Wan keeps watching her. Inside, Sarang feels very hurt, but pulls herself together and resumes her work. Meanwhile, Gu Wan and the others are having a meeting. Yuri's father praises Gu Wan and says, he truly is a great man. Yuri says, this is what I like about him, and that's why I love him. Gu Wan's father brings up the topic of marriage again, but Gu Wan says, I have already made it clear that I have no feelings for Yuri. Moreover, I love someone else. Everyone is shocked to hear this. Yuri's father comments, wow, so you do know how to love. Gu Wan's father angrily says, I don't want to hear your love story. We're here to discuss your marriage to Yuri. Gu Wan explodes in anger and shouts, I said I love someone else and my decision won't change. He leaves the room. Meanwhile, Sarang is busy with her work. Gu Wan keeps calling her, but her phone is in her locker. Later, when Sarang and Gu Wan meet, Gu Wan says, I apologize for what happened. Sarang replies, I'm not angry, but I am definitely shocked. Gu Wan reassures her, what you heard is not going to happen, I promise. Sarang simply looks at him and then says, okay, we'll talk later. In the next scene, Sarang meets a child who turns out to be Hua-ran's son, Yoon Ji-hoo. Ji-hoo annoys her, but Sarang playfully tickles him, making him apologize. Later, Sarang learns that Ji-hoo is the chairman's grandson, which shocks her. Later, Sarang Sr. gives her her salary but comments, you don't deserve this salary, but I'm still giving it to you. At home, Sarang exclaims, this was my monthly salary before. Meanwhile, Gu Wan's father advises him, let go of the one you love, because she will leave you. But Gu Wan says, that won't happen because I love her with all my heart. Later, Gu Wan visits Sarang, who is exhausted and has fallen asleep, and she doesn't answer his call. The next day at the hotel, Gu Wan asks her, why didn't you answer my call? Sarang explains, I fell asleep. At that moment, Yuri arrives, and seeing her, Sarang leaves. Yuri again talks to Gu Wan about marriage, but Gu Wan says, I will never marry you because I love someone else, and walks away. Then, Gu-won visits Sarang's favorite restaurant, where she is sitting upset. Hwa-ran also arrives and sits next to Gu-won. Gu-won says, "Don't think about what happened." Sarang replies, "Don't worry about me. I'm fine, and I'll never leave you. Those things were said by your dad. They don't matter to me." Gu-won feels a bit relieved, and the two have a meal and talk. The next morning, a meeting starts where Hwa-ran first gives a presentation, saying that employee salaries should be reduced to benefit the hotel. Then, it's Gu-won's turn, and he says that the hotel should merge with local ones and aim to establish its name worldwide, not just in Korea. The chairman is pleased with this and appoints Gu-won as the hotel president starting next month. The staff is very happy for Gu-won. Later, the manager tells Sarang that the chairman wants her to work at his house instead of the hotel. Sarang goes to his house and is asked to take care of Ji-hoo. She agrees and goes to Ji-hoo's room, plays with him, and decides to teach him how to speak politely. Ji-hoo also feels happy as Sarang is taking food for him. Gu-won pulls her aside and asks, "What are you doing here?" Sarang explains, then starts looking at Gu-won's room, which she likes very much. She teases Gu-won about his photo, and as Gu-won tries to take the photo from her, they both fall on the bed and start kissing. Just then, Ji-hoo enters the room, and Gu-won hides. Later, Gu-won drops Sarang off and spends time with Ji-hoo. Ji-hoo tells Gu-won that he was waiting for his mom, and just then, Hwa-ran arrives and scolds Ji-hoo. Gu-won consoles the crying Ji-hoo by taking him and Sarang on a picnic, where they all have fun. The next day, Gu-won meets Akija, who asks, "Have you come to inquire about your mom?" Gu-won says, "No, I don't want to know anything about her." Later, Gu-won visits Sarang's house, where they cook together, spend time, and kiss. However, someone takes their photo from the window. The next day, the assistant informs the chairman that news of Gu-won's love scandal is going viral. The chairman, shocked, says, "You must stop this news no matter how much money it takes." Meanwhile, Hwa-ran is on the phone with someone, saying, "No matter how much money my dad gave, I'll pay double to make this news go viral quickly." As a result, the news spreads everywhere, and in King the Land, everyone is talking about it. Cheon Sarang and her team see the photo, and she is shocked. Her colleagues comment that the girl in the photo looks like her. Sarang is stunned and says, "How can you say that? The photo is blurred. How can it be me?" She tries to sneak away, but her colleagues ask, "Where are you going?" Sarang responds, "I'm not feeling well. I'm going to the restroom." Meanwhile, Gu-won also finds out about the news and becomes very worried for Sarang. Gu-won approaches Sarang, but Sarang reaches him first. Gu-won hugs her and asks, "Did you see the news?" Sarang replies, "Yes, I did." Gu-won says, "I was really worried about you." Sarang asks, "Did we do something wrong?" Gu-won responds, "No." Sarang asks, "Then why are you apologizing?" Gu-won says, "I wanted to tell you one thing. If you ever need anything, just call me." Sarang asks, "Will you come if I call?" Gu-won replies, "Of course I will." Then, both hug each other. At that moment, No Sang-sik enters without knocking, and they move apart. Sang-sik says, "We need to handle this matter wisely." Gu-won says, "No matter what happens, Sarang's identity should not be revealed." Sang-sik says, "I think your sister, Hwa-ran, planned all this." Gu-won asks, "What do you mean?" Sang-sik replies, "A few days ago, she offered me a deal, but I refused her offer." Gu-won says, "Thank you for staying loyal to me." In the next scene, Sarang is at home with her friend Oh Pyung-hwa, discussing the news article. Another article is published, revealing Sarang's face with the headline, "The Cinderella story of King Hotel is repeating itself." People everywhere start talking about Sarang. At the office, the manager Kim Soo-mi asks Sarang, "How did you impress Gu-won?" Sarang politely replies, "You should think before discussing my personal life." Just then, Gu-won says, "I liked Sarang first." Everyone is shocked. Gu-won holds Sarang's hand, takes her to the elevator, and says, "If someone asks you such questions, just tell them I fell in love first." Meanwhile, the chairman asks his assistant, "Why isn't this news stopping?" The assistant says, "We are trying our best." The chairman says, "I think all this is pointless. They'll understand on their own." In the next scene, Hwa-ran is with her dad. Her dad asks, "Why did you publish this news? Did you think you'd become the chairperson?" She argues, "You've never thought about me. You always wanted to give everything to Gu-won." In the next scene, Gu-won takes Sarang to an amusement park as a surprise. He rents the park for a day, Both wear high school uniforms and enjoy themselves a lot. Gu-won tells Sarang, "I'm going on a business trip," and she disappears. Later, when the chairman arrives at King the Land, he sees Gu-won's mother there. He is shocked to see her. The two sit together, and there, Gu-won's father says to Han Miso, "It's been so many years since we last met. How have you been? Are you okay?" Han Miso replies, "What do you think? After staying away from my son for so many years, how do you think I would be?" He says, "Forgive me. At that time, I had no power, so I couldn't stand by you." Han Miso responds, "Let it be. Even if you had power, you would have chosen the company over me because I know very well who you are. Anyway, this has now become a tradition in your family. I found out that you sent Gu-won abroad under the pretense of a business trip, and you also sent the girl he loves away. You did the same thing to her that you did to me." He says, "If you hadn't gone against the company back then, that would never have happened to you." Then Han Miso says, "You gave up everything so easily. Do you know why I left everything at that time? It was only and only for Gu-won, because your dad had threatened me that if I didn't leave, he would harm Gu-won." They talk emotionally with each other, and later, Han Miso tells him, "Don't try to threaten me again, because this time, I won't stay silent," and she leaves. Gu-won also returns from his trip. In the next scene, Han Miso is standing outside his cabin, but she doesn't have the courage to go inside. Gu-won isn't in the cabin and is leaving the building at King the Land. Hearing his mother's voice, he stops, turns around, and is shocked to see her. Han Miso says, "Son, do you recognize me?" Gu-won talks to her, then hugs her. Han Miso also becomes emotional, and they share a very touching moment. Cheon Sarang is sent to another hotel. When Gu-won learns about this, he goes there to bring Cheon Sarang back. They meet and talk. Cheon Sarang asks, "How was your trip?" Gu-won replies, "It was fine, but I felt incomplete without you." Cheon Sarang says, "First, finish the work you started with me." Then they work together, spending time with each other. In the end, Gu-won tells Cheon Sarang about his experience meeting his mom and says, "Now we should go back because you belong to me." Cheon Sarang replies, "I'm fine here. I've made friends here too." She also tells him that the hotel is being sold. The next morning, Gu-won takes Cheon Sarang to all the places she used to visit and loves seeing her happy. Then, Gu-won tells the hotel director, "I will buy this hotel," and the director agrees. Meanwhile, No Sang-sik, Lee Ro-woon, and Kang Da-eul come to meet Gu-won and Cheon Sarang. When they go inside, they find out that Cheon Sarang and Gu-won have already left. Gu-won reaches a hotel where he has now become the president. He meets Gu-hwa-ran, who starts arguing with him. Gu-won says, "We're family, we shouldn't act like this." Gu-hwa-ran goes home and drinks a lot. Her husband, Professor Yoon, yells at her because she gave his girlfriend a lot of money to run away. Gu-won makes a plan to propose to Cheon Sarang. He buys a ring and invites her to a hotel, where he has planned a special way to propose to her. However, Cheon Sarang says, "We should end this now." Gu-won is shocked. Gu-won asks, "What do you mean by ending this?" Cheon Sarang replies, "I don't want to work at this hotel anymore. I want to leave because I want to do something else. I want to build my own hotel, not just follow orders." Gu-won feels relieved, thinking she was talking about a breakup earlier. He congratulates her for sharing her true feelings and appreciates it. He cancels his proposal plan. The next day, Sarang invites him to dinner and explains everything to him. He is very happy and apologizes, saying, "I shouldn't have done that. It was wrong to send you away." They have dinner together. Sarang says goodbye to everyone and arrives at a bus stop, where a big car arrives. Gu-won steps out, gives her a bouquet, and also brings new shoes for her. Then they sit in the car together. Meanwhile, Kang Da-eul starts being stricter with her husband, Seo Chung-jae, and makes him do all the household chores. Sarang also finds a place for her hotel and happily informs Gu-won. Later, Gu-won sits with Gu-hwa-ran and their father. Jo Won-jo mentions, "I'm going to the US." Gu-won understands that Jo Won-jo is doing this for Hwa-ran. Gu-won goes to Hwa-ran's room and says, "Don't do this. How long will you stay alone like this?" Hwa-ran gets emotional. The next day, Hwa-ran goes to the airport with Jo Won-jo, but stops him from leaving. Gu-won's father is also happy. At night, Gu-won visits Sarang, praises her hotel, and they spend a beautiful romantic night together. Gu-won promotes No Sang-sik as well. Oh Pyonghwa and Lee Ro-woon are happy together. Gu-won continues finding excuses to meet Sa-rang every day. Sa-rang tells him, "You'll get tired, don't come every day." But he doesn't listen. Then he proposes to Sa-rang, and she says yes. The wedding day arrives. Kang Da-eul comes with her husband, Seo Chung-jae, and daughter, Seo Cho-rang. Oh Pyonghwa is with Lee Ro-woon. Gu-won's mother, Han Miso, also meets Jo Won-jo and Gu Hwa-ran. Hwa-ran has changed now. Later, Gu-won's father sits with Han Miso and invites her for coffee during the wedding. She agrees. Then, Gu-won makes his entry, followed by Sa-rang. They get married. And with this, the drama ends. What was your favorite moment from their story? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.